Hey everyone, it's Donna Brown here, the work from home queen. I hope you're doing well, and I am 1 week postpartum. Heidi is 1 week old. Actually, she was 1 week yesterday afternoon, but I'm recording this Monday morning, and I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of an update because I did promise I would vlog much more regularly when she was here about the transition of adding her to my business in my Poop to Profit series. So the first few, I've got a little piece of paper here in front of me that I want to, I've jotted down some notes. So the first thing I want to talk about is routine. She is only 7 days old, but I think we've kind of set up a little bit of a routine already, which has been really good for planning out and my week ahead on what I want to achieve in my business. Now I know this routine is not going to be set in stone because every day she's changing so much, she's growing so much, she's more awake every day, so clearly nothing is set in stone. But if I have a routine now, hopefully it'll just slightly tweak every day as opposed to having big changes. So my personal routine is I've noticed that the best time for me to work on my business is between 9 AM and probably about 1 or 2 PM because she tends to just feed, sleep. And I get really big chunks of time in where she's asleep, which is really good. It's also the period that I'm the most awake. So I've just come out of the shower. As you can see, I've just put my hair in a wet bun. That's why it's looking a bit different than my normal videos, but I promised I'd be very real about my videos and not queef myself every time, so that's why it's just in a wet bun. It's the time I'm most awake and it's the time she's most asleep, so that, in my opinion, is the best time for me to be working on my business at this stage, particularly if I want to see clients. So if I need to see clients as in have Skype meetings or things like that, this will probably be the best time for me to do it because I am the most alert without feeling tired, and it obviously works out well because it's in business hours in Australia anyway, so that works out really well. Then between probably 1, 2 PM and 5 PM, she's very alert, so I don't have as much time to just pop her in her pram and let her sleep because she's awake for much more periods of time. She can get a bit cranky because she's awake for so long and whatnot, but it's not a big deal really. I just can't do as much. I'm doing feeding on demand as well, so basically I just feed her when she's hungry. And I don't know if it's because she's getting a really full belly or what, but when I feed her, she tends to go down for quite a big chunk of time, which is really good, which is what the next thing I want to talk about was breastfeeding. Now, I'm not going to be a martyr about breastfeeding because everybody has their own choices and everyone has their own reasons on why they do what they do, but for me personally, breastfeeding has been the best decision I've made, not only for Heidi, but also for me and my business because one, she gets very little gas or colic or unsettled stomach. And I think a part of the reason is because she is breastfed. There's less gas going into her stomach because obviously you swallow more air when you drink from a bottle. And the other reason why is breast milk is obviously designed for her digestive tract, so she can digest it better without being in as much pain. She's an epic farter, so every time I hear a fart, I think, yes, a little extra weight. Because then I know the gas, any bubbles have left her belly, and I've become obsessed with how many farts she's doing. Every time I hear a noise, I'm like, was it a fart, Pickles? So I'm tracking in my mind if I've heard one or not, so I know whether her crankiness is due to having a bubble in her belly or if she needs, a bit of love and affection. So that's quite amusing. Every time we hear it, we crack up because they're loud. They're like adult-sized ones. But because she's breastfeeding, I feel like she sleeps very good at night because in general, because she doesn't seem to be in a lot of pain. I'm part of a few mum forums on Facebook, and I've noticed that the mums that complain about unsettled babies or babies that seem to be constipated or seem to be suffering from wind or other problems or having a long time to burp them, like burping them for ages and nothing coming up, coincidentally happen to be bottle-fed babies, bottle-fed formula babies, not breast milk express babies. And I do think that's a contributing factor. Now, this is just my personal opinion. I have no issue with people who want to bottle feed their babies. That's your choice. But I think it's worked really well in my favor, and I think it's done really good in my business because it has left me with quite a calm, settled, content baby that doesn't seem to need a lot of attention. When she's grizzling and crying, it's only for a very short period of time. And there's usually a legitimate reason. It's never pain. It's just I'm tired or I'm hungry or I've got a wet nappy or I just want a bit of love. So it's pretty easy. And obviously the biggest no-brainer is I don't have to heat any milk up. I don't have to sterilize any bottles. I know it seems really obvious, but in the middle of the night, when you're tired, the last thing you want to be doing is doing that, where I can just flop a boob out and give it to her, put it back in and go back to bed. So it's really convenient, obviously. So I do think breastfeeding has been a really great contributing factor to my transition into motherhood, because a lot of people keep saying to me, oh, you're doing so well and you seem so calm and you got so much energy, and I'm like, well, for my opinion, I've taken the easiest route, which I think makes sense. Don't get me wrong, breastfeeding has been painful. When my milk came in, it was horrifically painful. It was so sore. Not just my nipples, but my skin feeling like it was ripping. It was so painful, but it's been 1 week now. 1 week she's been born, but I think 3 or 4 days since my milk came in, and today it's totally settled down. So I've persevered through the pain, and my midwife said to me, it's really good that you've done that, because a lot of people do give up from the pain, but in my head I was like, suck it up, Donna. Just keep going, because what's a week of pain for a year's worth of convenience, in my opinion anyway. It's a bit like going to the gym. You know, you start off at the gym and it's painful and your muscles are all sore, and then once you get into the groove and you keep doing it, it becomes easier, and then you reap the rewards of having a svelte body, or big guns, hopefully. So, I'm just looking at my little piece of paper. Actually, it's a ripped up envelope. This is how you really take notes when you're on the fly. An old envelope. So I've got routine breastfeeding, 9 to 2 is my good times. The other thing I want to talk about is actually the fact that I've actually got told off by the midwives yesterday. So I had my second domiciliary visit yesterday. The midwives that come to the hospital, from the hospital, come and visit you to make sure you're all hunky-dory. And they told me off, would you believe it, for working. She's like, oh, you shouldn't be working. But I told her I was sitting at my desk checking emails. I wasn't carrying firewood around. And I said to her, why not? And she couldn't give me a legitimate reason. I pointed out, I said, the house is clean. I said, dinner's in the fridge, because we've been very, very blessed to have a family that have dropped off lots of casseroles and lasagnas and things like that, which I'm very grateful for. I go, she's content, she's asleep. She was asleep when she turned up. I go, what do you want me to do? And she's like, oh, I just rest. I'm like, I'm sitting at a desk replying to an email. It's not that big of a deal. Plus, I agree that you should sleep when baby sleeps, but given that Heidi sleeps for at least 3 to 4 hour blocks at night, I get 3 or 4 nightly blocks of sleep. I can't sleep all day. If I sleep all day, I won't sleep at night. And I need to get in a routine of sleeping at night and being awake during the day, because that's the logical thing to do. So if I am tired, I'll have a nap, but I'm not going to sleep all day just because she's asleep. I'm not tired enough to fall asleep. And it's not like I'm rushing around cleaning. I'm just replying to emails on my desk or with my laptop on the couch. So she told me off, and but she wasn't serious. But she was like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be relaxed. And I actually said to her, I go, do I look like I'm suffering? And she said, no, you don't. And I said, well then, thank you for your advice. I'll take it to consideration. But let's get cracking on actually weighing her and everything. And she left it at that. So I just wanted to point that out, because people are going to throw their advice here, especially people who have a appearance of authority. You know, most people would listen to what she had to say because she was from the medical field and she does appear to be the expert in this situation. But at the end of the day, I trust my judgment, and that's what I'm going to do. Today, Monday, I said to Nick, actually feeling a little bit achy. I think I moved around a lot yesterday, because remember I had a cesarean 7 days ago. So I told him I'm just going to relax on the couch and watch movies and do a little bit of work on the couch today. I'm not going to move around as much, like, you know, doing laundry and things. And he was like, okay, cool. So I'm using my common sense, which is what everyone should be doing in every situation. Speaking of nighttime, I didn't talk about that. So I've worked out my routine that if I feed Heidi at midnight, I get only one break in the middle of the night. So at 3:30, and then in the morning she wakes up for a feed when I get up. So that's been really good. For me to make it to midnight, I have to have a nap in the evening, like around 5 o'clock, so I don't feel so dead between 5 and midnight, and that's what I do. So it's worked out really well, because when Pickles goes back to work, because he is at home at the moment, I can have a nap when he comes home and he can hang with her for, you know, daddy-daughter time for a little while, and I can have my nap and then get up and keep cranking on. So I think in 7 days to have worked out this little mini routine has been pretty darn good. So that's the main things I wanted to talk about. My routines. Breastfeeding has been a really great. I encourage everyone to try it and give it a go, because it is very convenient, and I do think it helps with my business, because there's less effort involved, I feel like. Yes, it does mean that technically no one else can feed her directly from my breast, but it doesn't mean I can't express and put it in a bottle, which I could do if I wanted, but I haven't really had the need, because I have so much milk. She's just feeding. She can have her fill in a very, 10 minutes, a very short period of time. So that's my update. I just thought I'd let you guys know. I know you're all interested in how I'm going. I'll insert some shots of her now so you can see, because she's sleeping right now, just over there in her pram. I thought I'd make the most of it and record this video. And for those of you that want to see how I am going postpartum, I'll I'll do a body shot now. I'll just put the camera back because I'm quite close to it at the moment. Okay, so there I am. 1 week over. I'm a little bit swollen here still from my stitches, but I say I've got pretty good movability. People forget. People often say, did you have a cesarean? I'm like, I have. And I think I'm overdoing it, but you know what? It's all the mindset. I know I can move. I know my limits. Now I'll show you Heidi. Aww. Big yawn. Yeah. You let Mummy record her videos like such a good girl. Thank you for the grin. Thank you for the grin, sweetie pie. You're such a good girl. Remember, calm mum, calm baby. Happy mum, happy baby. Stressed mum, stressed baby. It's the same for your business. Keep it in mind, ladies. Bye.